Oh, welcome all. It's so nice to have all of you here with Velociraptor Bank of Toronto, also known as VBT. And I'm sure you've heard VBT is a leading global financial services firm headquartered in Toronto, Canada, with 1.4 trillion in assets and over 3,000 branch locations across the US, Asia, and Europe. VBT is a clever bank. Just like Raptors, we remember. And we're so excited to have you all here in our virtual onboarding experience. I would like to start off with sharing a little bit about two of our competitive benefit plans offered through Blue Shield of California. And I'll give you a breakdown and share the differences between the HMO plan and the PPO plan. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me at any time. And throughout the presentation, I will be focusing on in-network numbers. So yeah, if you have any questions, just feel free to raise your hand or interrupt me. I just want to make sure that I answer any questions. And I'm going to share my screen with you. Let's see. Velociraptor Bank of Toronto, as you know, we are a leading global financial services firm headquartered in Canada. And I'm just going to share a little bit about our benefits. So, the Blue Shield HMO versus the PPO. So, we're going to talk about co-pays, deductibles, out-of-pocket maximum, co-insurance, HSA compatibility, emergency costs, urgent care costs, annual benefit limit, which plan gives me a greater network of doctors to choose from, and which plan would best protect an employee's costs. So starting with co-pays, the PPO primary care office visit is $25 per visit, and the HMO primary care office is $20 per visit. So the HMO plan is a little bit cheaper. If you are looking at preventative health care services, there would be no cost for both plans. Moving on to deductibles, the Blue Shield PPO plan deductible for an individual is $750 and $2,250 for a family. The Blue Shield HMO plan deductible for an individual family is $0. So we definitely see a significant difference here. And I mean, there are pros and cons to PPO and HMO plans. So, for example, people on PPO plans love that they have a flexible doctor network. But a con might be that they have a higher deductible, while people on the HMO plans appreciate the low deductible, but a con would be they have a limited doctor network. Moving on, so let's take a look at the out-of-pocket maximum for both plans. This is the most you as a member would pay for covered services each calendar year. There are some exceptions for each plan, which can be found on the summary of benefits section. The out-of-pocket maximum for the PPO plan is $5,250 for an individual and $10,500 for a family. That sounds pretty expensive. The out-of-pocket maximum for the HMO plan is $1,500 for an individual and $3,000 for a family. So, moving on to the co-insurance. And so co-insurance is primarily seen on PPO plans, and it's the percentage you pay after the deductible has been met. The Blue Shield PPO plan is the percentage you pay after the deductible has been met. The Blue Shield PPO plan is an 80-60, meaning that the plan will cover 80% of the costs in network after the deductible has been met and 60% of the costs out of the network after the deductible has been met. The co-insurance for in-network costs would be 20%, and 40% for out-of-network costs. So, of course, it's going to be more. We don't encourage you to go out-of-network. We would prefer that you stay in-network because we obviously see the costs being significantly higher in out-of-network. The Blue Shield HMO plan does not have a percentage co-insurance as seen on the PPO plan, but you will need to pay a copay, which is the flat dollar amount depending on the type of service you received. So let's move on on whether these have HSA compatibility. So only the PPO plan is HSA compatible because of the medical deductible, as opposed to the HMO had no deductible. And typically HSA plans are connected with high deductible plans. Now let's move on and move into emergency services. This one's pretty interesting. So the HMO plan costs $100 for an emergency room service, and let's assume you need an ambulance. The HMO would charge you $100 for an ambulance emergency transport. Essentially, you're looking at about a $200 cost with an HMO plan. The plan costs $150 for emergency services plus a 20% of emergency room physician services. So we see that the PPO plan is going to charge you, this flat rate of $150 plus 20% of the physician services. And we know that those costs can rack up real easily. If we look at the ambulance transport services on the PPO plan, you'll also have to pay a 20% of that cost. So I just want to do a little analysis using real numbers, and I just got these averages online. The average cost of an emergency room visit in California is $2,960. If we look at 20% of that amount, we are looking at about $592. Now, let's assume you were brought by an ambulance. The average cost of an ambulance here is $2,574. So if we look at 20% of that amount, we are looking at about $514.80 for an ambulance ride that you will be paying with a PPO plan. And this is, of course, assuming that your ambulance ride was in a car and not by plane, because we know that planes are expensive and that cost would be significantly higher. With the PPO plan, we are looking at an approximate cost of $1,256.80 for one emergency visit. That sounds pretty expensive to me, but there are pros and cons to the PPO, and people do appreciate the network benefit of having a greater network to work with when it comes to doctors. So we're going to move on to urgent care costs. So the PPO plan would charge you $25 per visit for urgent care, and the HMO plan would charge you $20 per visit. We see that the HMO plan is a little bit cheaper. Moving on to, does each plan have an annual limit of any sort? So if we take a look at annual benefit limits of any sorts, both plans have no limit. We don't need to worry about that because all annual benefits are now unlimited under the Affordable Care Act. Moving on to which plan would give me a greater network of doctors to choose from. So like I mentioned earlier, people do appreciate the PPO plan for giving them that autonomy to have a greater network of doctors. They don't feel as limited. And some people also believe that the quality of care is greater with the PPO plan. Because an HMO plan is capitated, meaning the doctor is paid a set amount each month. The doctors on HMO plans are not highly motivated to spend more time with their patients because they aren't getting paid anymore. On a PPO plan, a doctor will be paid more for spending more time with their patient and getting to know their needs. But Also, we must know that some areas don't even offer HMO plans, so sometimes people don't have a choice. And then, which plan would best protect an employee's costs? The HMO plan would best protect employees' costs and still provide sufficient coverage. It would be a bit cheaper, but it does provide sufficient coverage, and that's what matters, right? Anyways, that is the end of my presentation. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know, and I can help you with anything you might have missed during the presentation, or we could further discuss which plan would be best for your situation. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.